There's all kinds of banter.
We were very excited to watch a Greek movie right before our Greek trip to see our Greek family.
I think this episode's all going to be about just
us.
You two.
Yeah, no. Yeah,
what is accurate, what is inaccurate, and complaining there were no frappes anywhere in this movie.
Well, that's because the Greeks don't really drink frappes anymore.
So that's not
Fredo.
Cappuccino, not cappuccino.
Cappuccino
Fredo, or just like...
or you just say Fredo, which is just iced coffee.
Yeah, they're wrong. They're wrong. Frappe is
classic. Yeah,
classic Greek
kind
frappe
of like
is the best.
Gen X versus millennial kind of thing. You know,
I would say even Gen Z, because like I'm a millennial and we grew up on frappes, you know?
But you didn't grow
Your
up
accent when you say frappe is getting stronger and stronger every time.
It will. Oh, just wait until the end of it where you're going to have to like do subtitles.
Should the rest of us just drop off the call? Do you two?
I'm so glad we're doing this on Zoom.
I feel like this maybe should have just been a Stoylai episode.
Can you imagine how often we'd be spat upon if we were doing this in person?
I wanted to go out and buy a bottle of Ouzo and Alex wouldn't let me. She was like, it's just going to get messy. Don't even think about it.
Ouzo's really bad news for Helen.
I mean, I think it's
kind of bad news for everyone. I feel like
people,
it's real bad. It's what's even worse is Tsipuro.
Tsipuro, though, you know what you're drinking with Tsipuro.
It's true. Tsipuro is like Everclearish. It's like
it's grappa.
Yeah.
Yeah, candy, licorice flavored alcohol.
When we were watching the movie, we did not realize how much Greek was actually in the movie until we were watching it, and we're like, "There's a lot of Greek in this movie."
Yeah.
Like they talk it a lot.
The title didn't give it away.
No,
I know. But I'm like, for a movie that's to an American audience, they had a lot of the actual Greek language itself.
A lot of Greek. Like there's a lot of Greek speaking. There's a lot of Greek music. It's just it's an onslaught of Greek. It's like when people sit between us at the movies and they get Stoilis in stereo. It's like that, but as a culture, just knocking you in the face.
Yeah, and it was really funny because I was just like surprised that we don't actually watch this movie as often as you think we would. The last time I think I watched it was like a couple years after it originally came.
Your entire life is it.
That's exactly what I said 5 seconds after. I was like, that's because we live this life.
Yeah, I was noticing some of those parallels. So this room is absolutely sweltering.
Yeah. I can imagine in this 95-degree weather.
Yeah, happy fall.
Dana, I blame this personally on you.
Keep it up, Summer. Don't give up. You can do it.
Yeah, so there is no air conditioning in this corner that has two of its four walls are windows facing the eastward sun. So all day I have been basically throwing ice packs on myself. And right now I am, thank God nobody else is in the office because I am definitely
Are you wearing pants?
No, I am not.
Well, to give our listeners an idea, Randall's shirt is definitely unbuttoned more than
and it's very like
it's
definitely
Tom Selleck-y.
Yeah,
you are looking very Mediterranean.
Well, I definitely feel a little bit of
Are you glistening, my dear?
A sheen, yes. And speaking of Mediterranean, welcome to You're No Fun Anymore, the podcast where we deal with our nostalgia. I'm Randall.
I'm Dana.
I'm Bryce.
I'm Alexandra.
And I'm Eleni.
And today, we are going back to 2002's My Big Fat Greek Wedding, or The Shop Around the Corfu.
I like it.
Okay.
I like it.
I also would have, and you're going to have to forgive me for this, When Kori Met Xenos.
Oh, that's good.
That's good.
It's pretty good, Randall.
That's that. Thank you, Google Translate.
When a girl
met
a stranger.
Well, I was going for daughter, but
daughter.
that
Yeah.
works.
Claudia, yeah.
Hi.
Did you want to see some brochures? Found them.
When Tula met Ian, she found her man.
I just want to spend a little time with you.
And he found her family.
No one in my family has ever gone out with a non-Greek before. Oh!
A respectful boy would come here and ask for my permission.
May I please date your daughter?
No!
I'll do anything to get them to accept me.
End it now.
I love him.
Will you marry me?
You invited the whole family?
I'm gonna be baptized tomorrow. Nikki gonna be your godmother.
I've never seen my sister so happy. If you hurt her, I'll kill you and make it look like an accident.
Hey, Ian, we're gonna kill you. Opa!
Playtone and Gold Circle Films cordially invite you
It's a mosquito bite. It's a zit.
to the wedding of the year
She's ready!
and the romantic comedy of the season. Nia Vardalos, John Corbett, Lainey Kazan, Michael Constantine, Gia Carides, Andrea Martin, and Joey Fatone.
Ian is a vegetarian. He doesn't eat meat.
What do you mean he don't eat no meat? That's okay. I make lamb.
My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
We may be lambs in the kitchen, but we have tigers in the bedroom.
Ew. Please let that be the end of your speech.
Content warning. This selected film may contain scenes depicting the following:
patriarchal oppression, child violence, language, copious amounts of drinking, prominent displays of animal carcasses, comical elder abuse, more comical purse abuse by an elder, unnecessary upsetting cavalcade of middle-aged Greek men, misapplication of bun cake, and a criminal underuse of Joey Fatone.
And now, back to your regularly scheduled podcast.
Yeah. It had been a long time since I had seen this. Probably actually since the second one came out.
Can I ask why? Speaking of the second movie, I told Helen we never watched it, and she was like,
I've
"No,
never
we
watched
did
it.
watch it." She was like, "We watched it doing this," and then I was like, "No, we never watched it."
There is
And then-
no reason to watch it.
She was reading it recently, and she goes, and goes, "I don't think you watched this second movie," and I was like, "This is Picard season 2 all over again."
I keep doing this where I just imagine that I've seen something and I'm like convinced, and Alex is like, I
did not watch this,
She's
and then
like,
we
I
started
don't know
watching
what
it, and then I'm
alternate
like,
universe you've
You
been
can
in.
read a plot summary of it, and it will be that you watched it.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty
I don't
much.
know though why any of you have watched My Big Fat Greek Wedding, because I don't know why anybody who's not Greek would watch this movie, because it's
I
so
watched
Greek.
it 6 months ago for the probably 4th or 5th time.
Yeah,
Really?
I saw it in the theaters. I was on top of this because it was so popular in 2002.
Yeah, it was huge. I saw it.
Also, why would there be a question when John Corbett is in this movie?
I know John
That's
Corbett,
fair.
and he's
That's
really
fair.
handsome
he's
in this
so
movie.
good in it. He is just.
This is going to be you guys talking about Greece and me just talking about John
No,
Corbett. for an
because
hour and a half.
we will talk a lot about John
Oh my
Corbett,
God.
because at the end, when the aunt is like my favorite person in the world, when the aunt goes, he looks like he looks Greek.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like,
yeah.
he does look Greek.
Yeah, that's Andrea Martin.
She's the best.
I think
amazing Canadian actress from.
We've already covered Andrea Martin.
Canadian Armenian actress.
Oh,
I think it's
didn't know that.
incredible that I think this like rode the Greek tide across America. Just
I mean, the thing
yeah.
is what they also did really good with the advertisements for this when this movie first came out, instead of Greek during the advertisements, they like cycle through a whole bunch of different other like ethnicities and nationalities.
so it does.
Right.
Because they were like, it's a very like similar situation in this kind of family.
Anybody who has an
of Grant.
ethnic family.
Yeah,
All ethnic families are
exactly.
essentially the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I remember I loved this movie when it came out, and this was actually at a lull for romantic comedies. There was that little bit of dip in the early 2000s before the big boom, and I'm pretty sure this is one of the things that revitalized the romantic comedy genre. I would always see anything in
It's a rom-com.
Well, it's like I saw it with my mom, not with like girlfriends or anything. but
Perfect
this is,
movie
like,
to
the
see with your
perfect
mom.
Movie to see with your mom.
Totally.
It's like the amount of like
family.
It's mostly family. It's
And
less,
it's like
it's less rom-com. It's more fam-com.
It's got a great mom in it. Like Lainey Kazan is just one of
hell
the
yeah.
great moms.
She's
you
like
know?
the best mom.
Trevor, I have feelings on the dad, but we'll get there.
I mean, you should have feelings.
You should
We all
have
had
feelings on the
yeah.
dad.
That I forgot what a kick in the teeth that opening line is. It's just
Yeah.
like, Jesus
Not
fuck.
just the opening line.
The whole, I mean, but he's
Yeah.
not, I mean,
We'll get there.
We
Let
have
Randall-
issues with
Yeah.
the dad, like that's Greek.
Let Randall do the year and then we'll
Yeah, well,
Then we'll
yeah,
talk about this movie.
to
Set the scene, Randall. Set the scene.
It is 2002, and boy, what a loud, aimless year it was. Musically, I'm speaking, because apparently we just like to party to the same shit we listened to before. This would be the first year that a remix album would debut at number 1. That was J-Lo's remix album, J to the L-O, which I remember very, very vividly. And, that's not the only one. We have reached also absolute high watermark for new metal because it's all downhill from here. Linkin Park, they would also have a remix album called Reanimation, which was just redos of a lot of their first album. I remember
this whole remix album trend.
Oh yeah,
that was big in the
90s and the 2000s.
I always made a mistake and bought the remix album thinking that it was the real album, and then I'd be so confused and disappointed when I started listening to it.
I think you were living in London at this point.
No,
too.
I wasn't in London until 2003. But
right around the time.
Yeah.
They would also launch Project Revolution, which is a multi-genre musical clash festival, but mostly just rap and metal. But one of the nice things about the Reanimation remix album, while it didn't do nearly as well as the J-Lo one, obviously, it did prominently feature a lot of indie and underground hip-hop artists that opened the door to a lot of new audiences because of that. So that's always good. This year would see the president of the United States, George W. Bush, in between his planning the biggest war crime in modern history, made an official presidential proclamation, as the office has done for 15 years to this date, recognizing March 25th as Greek Independence Day, a national day of celebration of Greek and American democracy.
Yep.
Was it the first year?
I think officially recognizing it.
Officially recognized for, so they started in Ronald Reagan's administration of doing these proclamations, and they've just continued doing it ever since.
No, I mean like the first year that I think, because I feel like Greeks, we've already always celebrated that day.
Think they have.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that dates back to like the turn of the century.
That's like at least a century old.
Yeah. This would also see 8 out of the 10 largest airline carriers in North America eliminate commissions to travel agencies, cutting the already reduced rate of 5% to 0, using the cratering of air travel post 9/11 to consolidate pricing controls and eliminate both online and brick and mortar travel services in favor of their own preferred large warehouse style distributors such as Expedia and Travelocity. At this time in 2002, about 80% of airline tickets were sold through agencies, with only about 15% being sold through online retail.
We used to do it all through agencies.
Oh, yeah.
Like we never, I mean,
Dad did it.
Our parents would do it through an agent, and they would do like AAA, like they would go to AAA to get
that's how you get discounts.
Traveler's checks,
It does kind of suck for Tula that she finally breaks out and gets a travel agency job the year the travel agency dies.
Apparently the travel agent's still at like AAA and stuff like rather than just, I just found out that one of our cousins is.
Now it's more about like concierge for a trip.
And we still have a travel agent in our neighborhood that specializes like for Latin American countries.
Yeah, it's still actually a very viable business when you're traveling anywhere in the Southern Hemisphere. Mostly because it's the only way to actually get airline carriers to not charge you an obscene amount of money, because this was effectively a knife to the throat. They finally just pulled it to the side and
there's a
solidified
lot of like
their
smaller airlines that don't like have those kinds of big.
Oddly enough, I had the list in that, but never mind. We'll move on. In sports, Greek Canadian Josie Theodore would have arguably his best year as goalie in the NHL, playing for the Montreal Canadiens, or the Habitants, with 7 shutouts. Yeah, that's right. With 7 shutouts, a 2.11 GAA, that's a goals against average, with a .931 save percentage, earning him not only the Hart Trophy, which is awarded to the MVP of the league. He was only the 7th goalie in history to receive this since 1923, but the Venza Trophy as well, where he beat out one of the greatest of all time, goalie Patrick Waugh, who also used to be a Montreal Canadian. That would be his second to last season. So, kind of beating up on an old man, but the kid had some chops. Unfortunately, like his career didn't really pan out for that. But he's one of the rare guys to get like both of those accolades.
Greeks and hockey.
Greeks and hockey. Who thought? We went to go see the Greeks play tennis at the US Open practice.
Oh yeah, yeah. In television, this year would also see the premiere of The Osbournes, the meandering reality docu-sitcom show featuring Ozzy's family that became one of MTV's highest-rated programs in its history, also severing the tabloid-only coverage of stars in their real lives and kicking open the gates of hell that is celebrity reality programming.
Yeah.
What does it say about me that I remember exactly where I was when I was watching Sharon Osbourne throw the ham over the fence?
Oh, yeah. I mean, this was huge. This was because this was an unprecedented access to,
you were inside their home. and you were like getting the actual, like people in their pajamas kind of thing,
Yeah. And birthing from this malformed hellmouth were the likes of the Kardashians, Hogan Knows Best, John and Kate +8, Gene Simmons, Family Jewels, and on and on and on.
Now it's the Sylvester Stallone one.
Well, frankly, I don't think we ever recovered because it just keeps digging itself.
The reanimated corpse of celebrities.
I mean,
reality TV.
There was no looking back after the Kardashians. That's just
no. That was the. I mean, this was the first. This one established the genre, but that one perfected it.
Yeah.
And that's not to say the tabloid machine isn't dead, because this is also the year that Michael Jackson would dangle his third child, 9-month-old Prince Michael II, aka Blanket, off the balcony of a Berlin hotel that would grip an already salivating and insatiable media. A stunt that Jackson would later decry as a, quote, terrible mistake. And speaking of terribly thoughtless and cruel parental decisions.
For real.
Yeah. April 19th, 2002, My Big Fat Greek Wedding would start its official U.S. release to just over 100 screens after premiering in February at the American Film Market. So this is the definition of a slow burner. But even with those small theaters, it was pulling in over 5,500 per screen average, which got it just under 600,000 for this opening weekend. In comparison to the other newcomers this week, one of which was the Sandy Bullock thriller Murder by Numbers that debuted at number 3, totally beat that one out. The only one it didn't beat was the number 1, the Dwayne Johnson sword and sandal vehicle, the Scorpion King. Yeah. Overall, this film would spend 4 months in its first run, getting an actual full national release in August of this year, where it would absolutely crush other newcomers like Serving Sarah. That's the Matthew Perry, Elizabeth Hurley rom-com. Undisputed. Yeah. Ving Rhames, Wesley Snipes prison boxing film. Things like Stealing Harvard, Fear.com. And of course, one of my absolute favorites, Ballistic, X versus Sever. This film would crush basically anything underneath.
Not a great year for movies.
No.
I think I remember Stealing Harvard. Is that the one where they like
Jason Lee and
like a cheating scandal?
Cheating scandal, yeah.
It would stay in the top 5 for 11 straight weeks and run well into the next year, becoming one of the most successful independent films in U.S. history, making over $241 million domestic, and off of a $5 million budget. That's nothing to shake a stick at. In total, it would pull in $368 million worldwide. It is the 9th highest grossing film internationally of 2002 and the 5th highest domestically. It beat out the second installments of both Men in Black and Lord of the Rings, and the third outing of Austin Powers.
Wow.
As well as the 20th outing of James Bond.
We make good food.
Yes, that's what got everybody there.
But also, I feel like the whole plan was that Greek people went to that theater every single day.
Every day. Honestly,
watching
Tina, it was like advertised in every Greek restaurant. It was every Greek church,
the Greek bakery
in Astoria,
Ammonia,
made the wedding cake,
and it was like advertised everywhere,
as seen in My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
It was a brilliant advertising scheme. Like doing the grassroots.
It's like total grassroots, right? So it's like community driven, because there's always like a Greek town.
Yeah, I was just gonna say
Rita Wilson clearly understood her.
Rita Wilson, and Tom Hanks. They are the unofficial they are the unofficial
Rita
first
Wilson's
couple.
Greek, and Tom Hanks is now Greek too.
He's been baptized,
but it was also
Orthodox Church, and the Greek community has accepted him as one of our own.
Claimed him as a Greek.
I also, if I remember correctly, this is the first movie that Rita Wilson produced.
Yeah, because this is through Playtone, which is Tom Hanks and Gary Gottsman's company. But yeah, she was actually. I mean, we can get into this, but I just want to also say, like, it still remains the number 1 most successful romantic comedy in the U.S.
You are very, very lucky.
Yeah,
because you get to watch My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
It spawned a CBS sitcom the following year that,
which
for
was
some
not good.
Yeah, it recast Tom Miller with TV regular Stephen Eichholt.
I'm
fine.
sorry, you can't replace John Corbett. Once you replace John Corbett, you're done.
You can't.
Yeah, I think he was. Well, he was busy.
On a different show.
Yeah,
right?
he was on other
that was
shows.
Stephen doing Sex in the City at the time.
Yeah. But the guy they replaced him with was in the It's Like You Know show with Jennifer Grey. That was probably the most successful thing he had been in beforehand. So that's,
he's a Gennaro white guy.
Yeah. There was another sequel in 2016 And then another one coming out in 2023.
Which we are going to see in Greece.
Yeah. Oh, good. That's awesome.
Well, although it's going to be like a little emotional because the whole movie is about them going.
It's Greece.
Well, it's shot in Greece. Yeah.
After their dad dies.
After the dad dies, which is kind of what we're doing.
Yeah.
Just focus on John Corbett.
Yeah.
Keep the focus on John.
John. I mean, the whole scene where he's like, "I'm a vegetarian," and that little old lady goes,
No.
That person was just on. Like,
I'll just make lamb. That's fine. I like that. That's the vegetarian option is lamb.
It is. I'm not kidding. So my cousin-in-law, her mom once goes to me about her other daughter being like, "She's a vegetarian. I don't know what to cook for her."
There's
and
tons of vegetarian food.
Like
we have a
foods.
nephew. We have a few nephews and nieces who are vegetarian, or vegan, and I mean it kind of like stretches, because it
like
is
pescatarian-ish.
Pescatarian-ish. You can kind of get away with. Well, there's some like vegetable kind of like based dishes, but it's a very meat and a very lamb diet. But it's just I feel like whenever you talk to somebody about My Big Fat Greek Wedding, they always have a shared story about their own kind of like personal family idiosyncrasies. They're like little cultural quirks, and I think that is what really kind of like has that bond hook that gets you
100%.
Whatever kind of like background you come from, you have that weird quirk. But
it's so funny.
Honestly, it wasn't until we like rewatched it that we were like, gosh, there is a lot of just straight up Greek in this. Like people are just talking Greek. And it's not subtitled, most of it. It's just people talking Greek in the background.
Some of it is subtitled.
Like the grandmas, because it's just, funny, crazy.
Well, that is like the grandma's my favorite.
We had a
character.
crazy Greek grandma who lived with us and would like chase people off the front lawn all the time.
I mean,
not because we thought they were Turkish, but just because, for other reasons.
Yeah.
She
didn't want us Americanizing. So she was like, no, go away.
Yeah, they still like reliving a centuries old war.
I mean, it's centuries, but not. That's the whole Greek independence was from
right.
the Turks.
Was from the Turks, yes.
The Ottomans were occupying parts of Greece until like the 1900s. Like right until before World War One. And then we got occupied by the Germans, and then we had our own civil war. So we never really got, like the mom said, we never got a break.
No. Well, the kind of fun part about the to get into a little bit of the background of like how this got started, when we kind of alluded to it, that the
stage show.
Yeah, so she wrote this as a screenplay, and then everybody that she pitched it to,
Nia Vardalos.
Yes, Nia Vardalos. Everybody she pitched it to would say, "Oh, we love this. Hey, why don't we get like?" And one of them was like, "Turn it to Italian and cast Marissa Tornado.
I know, turn it
Hispanic
Latino.
and we'll put
Exactly.
J-Lo. Yeah, we'll put J-Lo in it." So she just kept saying no. Finally, getting frustrated with it, turned it into the stage show. She's a Second City alum, so she knows how to like
vivid.
do.
Like she's very good at like these like creating these vivid characters.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're so well constructed and kind of like fleshed out. They just are, I mean, living people,
Some of them are.
Some of them are.
Some of them are stereotypes, but some of them.
Yeah, the like Joey Fatone is definitely.
That's what I think. It's like the cousins. The cousins are.
Joey Fatone in the sequel apparently is in the closet.
Yes. Vaguely remember that.
Yeah. In the next one.
A little bit more complicated.
Well, he's only in like 3 scenes in this one.
Well, also in the
time it was like NSYNC, because he was still in NSYNC at the time.
Yeah, he was still in NSYNC.
It was a coup.
And it was really funny because while we're watching the first movie, and I was like, wow, there's literally every type of Greek at this wedding.
Every type of Greek.
There's there's like us dorky Greeks. There's the
stylish Greek,
the big frizzy hair Greek.
Oh, the cousin. Yeah. Oh,
the aunt that has something growing on her neck Greek. I'm not kidding. There's always an aunt with a thing.
TMI Greek. Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah. I wanted to say like Giacardi is phenomenal. As like her sassy cousin and plays the godmother to her now husband. Which I love that shot. It's like she's going to be your grandmother, and she's like adjusting herself in the back of the kitchen.
It's so great.
And the whole baptism scene for the adult guy when he's like,
I mean,
I like the kiddie pool that they make him swim in.
And this kind of came out when our oldest first cousin
was marrying
a non-Greek, and so she was kind of like going through this whole kind of
He did not convert though.
No, because he was Roman Catholic, so it was kind of close enough, I think.
Yeah, okay. You still have to do that walk around thing.
Yeah, but they did have to get like permission.
They had
from
to get permission
the Pope,
from the priest,
the priest, and from the Pope to get the
Archbishop. So do you get like the little golden crucifix when you go through that whole thing? Is that like that a deal?
You get the wreaths. So
Bryce's face is like, what the hell are you talking?
For when you're baptized, or for when you get married?
For when you baptized.
When you're baptized, you get a cross, but when you're married, you do get the wreaths. So every couple has wreaths that they kind of like keep afterwards. It's like their, kind of wedding memories.
Favor.
Favor. Well, no, everybody gets favors at the wedding, but like, so in a Greek home, you usually have an icon area, and it'll have kind of things in it that are family traditions. So there will be icons of like past loved ones, Easter eggs that you get from the church, holy water that you get from the priest. It's like a little mini shrine in your home.
I did remember the
ours
Easter egg
resides
thing.
in Helen's bedroom because it used to be our grandma's bedroom.
Yeah, so I have this little kind of like shrine up in the corner of my bedroom, and it's got my parents' wedding wreaths in it, and it's like something that you hold on to it. I don't think they really get reused, but it is kind of like a nice tradition. You take your first steps around the table.
It is like a 3-hour long ceremony. Helen fainted at her cousin's.
In my cousin Alex's wedding. And also, like the movie, there are multiple Alexes in our family and multiple Helens.
I would assume several men.
Oh, that was one of my favorite scenes.
Many.
Like,
that is the most accurate.
The most accurate thing. We have I think 6 Alexes or something, and 4 or 5 Helens,
and a bunch of Nicks.
There's so many Nicks
and a lot of Costases.
So many Costases.
When I lived in Seattle, there was a Greek counter deli that was right across the street from the Pike Place Market. That was it was Mr. D's, and do not ask me to actually pronounce that, because again, I will just bring shame.
If you need us to pronounce things this episode,
my stepdad would always bring my mom around, and oddly enough, this is also I found out that baklava does not deal well with me because of walnuts. Because walnuts.
Are you allergic to walnuts?
Yeah.
We can make it with pistachio.
They make them.
No, they do make them with pistachio, but just found that out the hard way, because you're just like, oh, I like this. My mouth feels fuzzy.
Oh.
I really do like baklava. It's one of my favorites.
Helen won over
one of my interviewees. I got
baklava.
in by bringing baklava to the interview.
Wait, you brought it to a job interview?
No, to an interview for an article that I was doing.
Oh, got you. Okay.
It was like a hard to get interview, so I was like, I'll bring baklava, and suddenly I got the interview.
Oh wow, that's great. Because I was I never thought about bringing food to a job interview. That sounds amazing.
That's actually not a bad idea.
No, that's a great idea. I'm going to start making baklava for every job interview.
The only thing is, nobody does job interviews in person anymore. They're all online.
True.
So.
That's true.
Oh, that's when you have to send the remote. You should check your mailbox.
Yeah.
It's a little package for you. I did. Yeah. So we were talking about the universality of how this film works, because it is. It's like it's a very big family comedy. This is Joel Zwick, who's the director, who's a Brooklyn born and raised, huge television credits. I think 21 of the shows that he directed the pilots for went to run as full series. He was actually connected because he did Bosom Buddies. That's how he knew Tom Hanks. But yeah, this guy's been around. When he read the script, he was like, oh yeah, I see a lot of this, because it's a very you get a lot of the same things in Jewish families, and you
you do.
Yeah, exactly.
You're so skinny. Eat when she pinches the collarbone. Totally.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right here.
The whole the guilt trip that people give and stuff. The
it's Catholic too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe think all cultures are based on guilt and food.
They are.
Yes.
I think so.
Well,
they are.
Except wasps are focused around keeping quiet.
Well, that was I was gonna bring that up, because my favorite part of this movie was his parents
family,
and how
everything is so quiet.
Oh God, yes.
And pastel-y.
So
I mean, it's
so
beige. It's not even pastel. It's like beige. It's all neutral colors.
This film, for being a Canadian production, has very little CanCon content in it.
Yeah, it's true. You're right.
There's like a handful of mainstream actors, obviously Mia Vardalos, but the ones that they got were Bruce Gray and Fiona Reed, who played the parents, and they're like mainstays from television. But yeah, it's just watching those two just kind of go. That whole scene is so cringy when he's just like, "Didn't you have a Greek secretary?" No,
oh my
she
God.
was like, and they're going through random ethnicities.
No, she's Ecuadorian.
And I was like, oh my God. And I remember it was like, okay, this is supposed to be Chicago.
Yes. Yeah.
And I agree, Chicago's pretty white.
Not that white.
It's not that white.
Yeah, not that white.
And also,
no.
I remember though when I was first watching this, I was like surprised that they did it in Chicago. And then when I went to Chicago and went to Greektown, I was like, their Greektown is so much smaller than ours.
Really tiny.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like
I will
ours
say,
is,
if you look at like the WASP culture, they don't really mix with the outside so much. Like they go to the country club, they hang out with their friends.
I did
Everybody
like that little
does
country
that
club
thing.
thing. Yeah, you just go to the country club and see what what their date is, and then.
And I think that is still an accurate portrayal of that type of person. So the whole Guatemala
I did like
thing,
that they were
not that far off.
No, I don't think it was that far off. I did like that they were willing to go with it, even though they didn't understand it. So because this could have gone like I was actually surprised rewatching this how low
the stakes
are.
There's one point where the best friend is like, so her family says jump and you get out the trampoline, right?
And he's like, yep.
And he's like, yep. And he's like, okay.
Yeah, my life sucks.
My life is not as good as yours. Yeah.
I will preface this by saying this is an adorable movie. This is perfect for what it is. But it is a problem that everything just works itself out immediately.
Yeah.
Like there is never a moment of conflict that isn't worked out within at least 2 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
I know. The dad kind of like
be difficult, still resolve.
The dad. Every time the dad does something awful, Lady Kazan comes in and she fixes it right away, as they do.
Yeah. Although that speech that he gives at the end is like my favorite thing.
Yeah, that is very sweet. I mean,
we cried.
We
cried so much.
Yeah, I mean, Michael Constantine is, he'd been an actor since like the 50s. He's been around forever. I think he came out of retirement to do this.
I will say there is absolutely not a single Greek dad out there who would not want his daughter to go to college. Not a single one. Not a single one.
I was so mad.
Yeah.
That was from the time we could read.
Yep.
What was drilled into our heads
that
was
we're
going to
go to
college. You were going to get an education. You were going to be like,
our dad didn't want us taking over the restaurant. He wanted us,
and he didn't want us
getting into business and finding a way to do something else. I mean, he preferred if I was a lawyer or a doctor.
Yes.
But
well, don't they all?
Like some judges.
I think all parents kind of have that.
But we were like academically, we were really, really pushed academically.
Yeah, no, he wanted us to get the best grades.
It's not just academics. That I think now is a good time to get into the problematic part of her dad.
Yeah.
It's not just that he doesn't want her to go to college. It's that he's consistently telling her, "You're too ugly to get a husband.
Yeah.
You couldn't be educated.
Yeah.
You can't leave my side for the rest of your life unless you want to be a bad child." It's like the guilt is, I don't know how she manages to get above it.
Oh, that's abuse.
It goes beyond. It totally goes beyond guilt and everything. Like, yeah, you're right, Randall. It's belittling and it is like demeaning and it is just kind of like emotional abuse.
Especially because like
they're keeping her kind of like locked down. How are you? But we did also have this kind of like tension in our family where we weren't allowed to date. We weren't allowed to like go out with just guy friends until I hid my first boyfriend in college for years, even when he was living with me. You know, he was just my very good friend who would come over to visit a lot.
I was visiting once before the parents came to visit, and I heard the conversation about what they would do should they ask. And he goes, "Oh, I just happened to live right next bedroom." He would go out to get coffee and then appear when they went to the apartment. So there is a lot of like, I kept her secrets for her.
Like, play happening where you're not admitting to what the truth is. But there was a lot of like, you have to be very proper and pure.
but you're also supposed to get like married. So
Right.
I mean,
That's
like
what's
this
upsetting
whole kind
about
of like immaculate conception thing, you know, like
Yeah.
where do you think a husband comes
That
from?
is
If
the-
you're not
But it's
dating,
also,
you
at
know?
least in this movie, it's you have to stay pure until you become a baby factory.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Yeah.
You shouldn't be educated because
Which
an educated
unfortunately
person
is
would be a
like
baby factory.
Yeah, which is unfortunately like a huge part of the culture.
Yeah.
I
Like-
think it's also maybe her, like it's Nia Vardalos probably is from a different generation than you guys, so that's probably what's reflecting of this.
Well, with the whole education, definitely.
Right, yeah.
But we definitely did get people from the time I was like 16
I know,
being
pushing
like,
us to get married. When are you going to get married?
when are you gonna
Your family's
being like,
huge.
yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, there's
Yeah, so
always
she's of the boomer generation, so her parents probably do remember the end of the war, you know.
I mean,
That
our
kind of-
parents do, because our
Yeah.
dad is,
Yeah.
I mean, our dad was born in 1933 and our mom was born in 42. So
Right.
like they both lived it, you know?
Yeah, yeah. So I think maybe that's part, and that was one of those things where I was like, even in 2002, that's a little,
That plus the fact that he has to be the decision maker for the family and the whole, like, I understand the sentiment of the man is the head of the house, but the woman is the neck.
Yeah.
But
Right.
it's still a problem.
Oh, yeah,
the woman
totally.
should be a
Yeah.
neck. The
No,
woman should
totally.
be another
Another
head.
an
Totally.
equal
Yeah.
part of the
The mother
to
and
be-
the father should
yeah.
be conjoined twins.
They should.
Sure.
You're right.
No,
You
that's
should.
like the opening from Hedwig. It's like you're two different bodies that just
Yeah.
happen to be together.
I mean, but it has
And-
been kind of like this whole, it was very similar in our family where the dad was the head of the family.
Yep.
But like we did all the work, right? And
Yeah.
we did
yeah.
I asked my mom for advice. Like I went to my mom
Yeah.
for permission on everything, not my dad, because I knew that my mom was the one that actually made those kinds of decisions. for me,
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
I mean, you can kind of see that in the movie too. She's down there doing the books while he's going through certain, kinds of inventory and things like that. And I felt so bad for her brother,
Nikki?
Nikos, the
yeah, Louis-
artist wants to be an artist.
Louis Mandalore, and I just feel so bad
He's
because he's
Greek,
just
right?
so
He is Greek.
sheepishly trying his best to be like, oh look what he's doing, and I like his arc, and yeah, it's pretty low stakes, but I like that he's still trying, and he doesn't think like, oh, I want to go off and do this. He just like, I just want to know how to do this better.
Yeah.
And that's what he's like, I'm going to start with night classes. And I was like, that's a really nice kind of turn. And then, I just love that he's an absolute asshole to her husband.
Yeah.
But
Well,
in like the loving brother way.
In a
you
loving
know?
brother kind of way. And he's also like such a great brother.
He's a
her.
great
Yeah.
brother.
You know, like
Yeah.
her older sister is a little much, but
Oh, yeah.
he is a great brother.
He's a great brother.
He's
the two
so
of them,
the
but
two of them are
they're
so
like closer in age.
they're closer
so
in
they're
age and
very
he's
clearly
they're
like,
so
yeah.
supportive of each other.
they're
It's
really
like the
sweet.
best.
I love the family apart from the kind of bad
The dad is really
the
out.
dad who's difficult and who just
And Andrea
kind of,
Martin
like,
a little bit.
Andrea Martin can do no wrong. I love
No,
Andrea.
I don't mean that Andrea Martin herself, but the aunt definitely has moments of being problematic.
Oh,
the aunt is very much an enabler.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I did love her face though when she's doing the like the day of the wedding and her mom comes up and was like, this is the speech that my mother gave to me, and this does that whole like tiger in the bed, and she goes, ew, please tell me that's the end of that. And just her face going like, oh yeah. It's like, oh Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Oh god, she's absolutely wonderful in
It's
this.
so good.
She's the best.
Yeah, outside of the father, I think most of the family is pretty understanding. I did like that they worked in with the sister, that like she's the only one who's really adopted that Midwestern. Oh, I gotta take the kids to hockey.
Yeah, to hockey.
And the like, even though the dad is problematic, everybody comes at it from a place of love and wanting what's best for her at the end. Like, even though
But
he's
they just
not,
don't know what's best.
he doesn't know what's best. He
You know,
doesn't.
until
But
the
I
end,
think he eventually he acknowledges it at the end.
I was gonna say, until the end, he doesn't actually want what's best for her.
Yeah.
He wants what's best for him.
Yeah.
Right.
He wants her to stay there for the rest of her life and be his little
Yep.
girl, which is
Well,
not
he was
And he did buy them a house directly next door to
Yeah.
that.
that
And there's-
bothers me so much.
Oh yeah, that's definitely something you can't do now.
He's still getting his wish there.
Such a nice gesture of buying a house, but then you are trapped.
You're
next
trapped.
to the
I mean,
parent for the
that is
rest
the
of your life.
ultimate kind of like, okay, I got you now, right?
Yeah. Because you can't really say
You can
no.
go to a house.
No.
But it's also free daycare though for when she has a kid.
Listen.
But you're also living next to your parents for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
She's never going to escape and have her own person.
By the way, guys, that house is a legitimate house. That's how that house looks.
Yeah.
They didn't really like add stuff to it. They didn't add the sculptures. That's how it looks.
Oh God, yeah, because like a lot of this, I think like most of the production from this, because like she grew up in Winnipeg, and they also have like a fairly substantial. Oh, that was the other one I forgot.
A lot of Canada has a substantial Greek population.
Oh yeah,
like Montreal especially.
Mm-hmm. I think Greeks are kind of like one of those. Like the whole Trojan horse things. We're kind of sneaky where we like end up in like the weirdest places.
We're everywhere.
Like Nebraska.
So when we were at the San Gennaro Festival, like
Detroit. Detroit's one of my favorite Greek towns, man. Like,
we were at the San Gennaro Festival with our friend Nicole, like one of my first years here in New York, and we were looking at Italian foods, and Nicole's Italian. And we're like looking at Italian foods, and I was just like, "Oh, there's a Greek cart." And Helen's like, "Oh yeah, wait, that Greek cart actually has gyro the right way. It's like steaks, one on top of each other." So we get the Greek food from the actual Greeks at the thing, and we're like, "We're just everywhere. We're slowly taking over the world."
Except you know where? Except in Astoria now. There are no Greeks
I
in Astoria. They've all gone away.
All the Astoria Greeks have moved to Long Island. I know.
Yeah.
The Martial Arts Academy in Astoria is run by a family member.
Big ups to our god sister.
And the bakery is still here.
The bakery. Yeah, there's a few. There's
some holdouts.
Tabernas Kiclades is still good.
Yep.
And they just opened a new place. Anyway, we're not going to get into like real local restaurant
not real locals in that. I mean, demographic shifts always happen.
All the best diners are always owned by Greeks, right? Like I always know if I'm walking into like a diner and it's got spanakopita on the menu, or if it's got moussaka, or it's got like baklava in like the display case, I'm fine. I'm gonna have a great meal.
I mean, it is a stereotype, but it's kind of true because even on the West Coast, even on the West Coast,
anywhere.
Yeah.
Honestly, I've been to like Minneapolis, and you find like a great diner and it's Greek owned.
I mean, like our dad's restaurant, though it was fried seafood, it was very much like a diner. Because it was very much of a like,
I've never been so full in my life as the day we went to the Soy Lai restaurant. Never been that full in my entire life.
The plates and that whole scene where the mom is like, "Oh, do you want something?" That's like, "No, I just ate before I got here. I'll make you something." That is entirely accurate. We don't want you to be fed. We want you to be stuffed.
You have to get into a fight with a Greek to not have them feed you.
The tray of
it has to be like a serious altercation.
The tray of food that was brought to us at your parents' restaurant. That was taller than me.
Yeah. Our love language is food. All Greeks love language is food. I've never met a Greek who was not like.
Yeah, if I haven't fed you, that means I don't like you very much.
Yeah.
I actually just learned this because I'm working on an episode that is shot in Taipei. Speaking of crossover from cultures, so when you say "How are you?" or as a greeting in Taiwanese, it is I'm not even going to try that. It translates to "Have you eaten?"
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Perfect.
And there is something kind of reassuring and reinvigorating about that. Although Bryce did have a point when we were watching this, when they invite the parents over to meet the family and it's supposed to be the quiet thing. It's just like, "Oh, we're going to be there in an hour." And she's like, "Oh yeah, I'm cooking all this blah, 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 blah."
Peeling potatoes.
You cannot possibly roast an entire lamb in an hour. What kind of nonsense is this?
But they're doing it on a spit.
That's still no way.
Is it a time travel spit? What the hell?
And you don't think they have lamb ready to go?
But you don't.
You start with appetizers.
You have to have a little spanakopita and a little salad.
You have the mizeves. You have.
And you don't think they don't have marinated lamb like sitting in the refrigerator?
Just hanging out.
The lamb you don't get to until 10 o'clock at night after the dance.
Yeah, that's true. They didn't actually bring the lamb in until like the parents were wasted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then they were like, "Oh God, we can't eat." Because to be honest, if I just drank half a bottle of fucking Ouzo, I don't
think I've ever been as sick in my life as when I had Ouzo.
Ouzo.
So bad. That was when I started throwing.
I told you, Helen.
I know this is why I didn't get a bottle of Ouzo, because it would have gotten messy.
A good friend of mine just got back from Greece and she's like, "I like Ouzo. It's good." And I'm like, Really?
I love Ouzo.
Are you kidding?
I love Ouzo. Okay. I'm more of a Metaxa
No, but
person.
it wasn't
Well,
Ouzo.
she realized that she was drinking Metaxa and not Ouzo the whole time.
Yeah.
When on the last,
I agree with you. Yeah, that's great. It's delicious. I could drink.
Great.
Metaxa's really good.
Drink that all day. Ouzo is like the thing that old men sit on the porch and sip all morning.
Yeah,
right here, me. That and Cipro, the two of them, they will just drink on a porch with some ice because it like clouds it up and it turns it all.
The perfect thing is to have a little Ouzo and to pay tabli, just like a little bit of backgammon and to drink your Ouzo.
I think like getting actually back to the film of this, because this is kind of hard. The low stakes. So I went through a lot of interviews with Mia Vardalos, and she's like, because it was such a success, this is one of the most well documented kind of indie films out there, and she loves talking about it because, you know, why not?
It made her.
Yeah, but she had always said that she would have been happy if it just played in like the basement of Greek houses and churches for like the rest of her life. She just got to make a $5 million special movie. I just came from a screening of another indie film that just never, you know, found its home. And it was the same kind of thing where they are just glad to show it. And I think nobody ever expects it to either win or lose. She just really wanted to tell the story. And one of the things she talked about in the interviews is that she didn't want a traditional romantic comedy, which is why I think it is so. The problems are very easily overcome because it's more of the family stuff. Yeah. She said explicitly she didn't want like the, oh, you're cheating and then he runs away and then you got to make up and blah, 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 blah. You know, like that kind of.
So, there's not really problems between the
That
couple.
can't happen because John Corbett is perfect.
Yeah, exactly. John Corbett is perfect to every lock of his long, beautiful hair.
I'm waiting. I'm waiting until we can talk about John Corbett. I'm just.
We'll
Can I talk about the romance for like 2 seconds?
Yes.
Just waiting.
I liked this movie when it came out. Like I said, I watched it with my mom. I found the romance really comforting now because it reminds me of what relationships that work out actually feel like. There's minor problems. You're both neurotic as fuck, and then it's,
and you're like working towards something, right?
Yeah,
like it takes like effort.
There's
right?
a mutual goal.
Yeah. You awkwardly hide from each other at the beginning. You awkwardly
slide down a wall.
This is the brilliance of John Corbett. We're doing it. We're talking about John Corbett.
This is the brilliance of John Corbett.
Just jump right in there, Dana. What do you feel about it?
Of John Corbett. John Corbett, I don't know how he does it, but he just portrays the most decent, perfect boyfriend in everything he does. Everything he does, he is perfect. He is no trouble. All he wants to do is be there for the other person. He is a cowboy without being chauvinistic cowboy. He's so pretty. Even in that stupid Sex in the City coat, he is so pretty.
Oh, that coat was awful.
The scene where he's in the tub and she gets to put oil on him.
So wonderful.
That's all I need from that movie.
You know what? You're right. He is decent. It's like that whole kind of like, it's the opposite of toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
It's like,
there is just a fundamental
wholesome. He's so like good. You know?
He does get a little
get
like
mad when she interrupted his fucking work day to have like a mini neurotic meltdown.
Right?
Yeah. He was just like, hey.
Not the fact that he clearly had no interest in being Greek Orthodox before he marries her, and yet all of a sudden he's Greek Orthodox.
When he says that, like, I came alive when I met you, like, I was like, that's such a sweet saying.
And he's the one that sees, even before she does the makeover, that there's something about her.
Yeah, he has that
He's
moment.
also someone that can look past the superficial. He is perfect. He is perfect. John Corbett is perfect in everything he does. I am very happy that he's been with Bo Derek forever, but if he ever decides that's going to work out, I don't care how old you are, John Corbett. It's fine.
John Corbett is with Bo Derek.
Oh, yeah. They've been married for like
forever.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
And she's like 15, 20 years older than him.
Oh,
that's
amazing.
Yeah.
Talk about a check mark in that column because he's married to a woman that's older than him, which is so unusual. The man is perfect. I
love
here
him.
for you, John Corbett, whenever you are ready.
I mean, I don't think that's.
And if you ever want a Greek woman,
I can't help here.
Can I say something that's gonna make Dana yell at me?
Yeah. Oh no.
Probably yes.
I don't think he's that attractive.
Oh,
you are incorrect.
We've established
you're wrong.
Your
on that.
type and my type are very different.
I mean, yes, he's gotten a little doughier.
I don't care if it's doughy.
In the sequels.
No. So that's my problem. My thing with him is he has a 7 head. He has forehead for days.
He does, but he looks better when it's the long hair when he cuts
and
the
he
hair
evens
off.
that
It's
long
long
hair
hair.
evens it off.
The only time I found him
Because like this year was the year he
Yeah.
started in Sex and the City, and then when he comes back the next season and he cut the hair off, holy crap, John Corbett.
And he's always
You can have him with my
right?
blessing, Dana.
He can
He
get it.
always wants to see like the good side of people. He's so trusting of the brother and the cousin when they're telling him to say out loud that he has 3 testicles.
Yeah.
And I am not feeling good.
This movie taught me so many new words, guys.
Testicles.
When things make me sad, I watch John Corbett.
Yes.
Yeah,
When things
that's
make
fair.
me sad, I watch John Corbett for
Yeah.
real, and it makes me happier.
Although I have to say, the only time I've ever seen him as creepy is in How I Met Your Father, where
Oh yeah, that was not okay.
that was, and his look there was
Oh.
not attractive either.
But that was intentional.
But that was
I know.
intentional. That was
I know.
intentional. But I was just like,
I'd say that
oh.
and him in Serendipity is not so great either. But
well, he's supposed
on
to
the
be. He's the
the Baxter.
Yeah, he's the Baxter in that.
Mhm.
But I remember, so he was the boyfriend, the hippie boyfriend in the Wonder Years. That was the first time I remember.
Really?
Yeah, because when she
That's
brings
David Schwimmer.
back the guy and the dad is fucking furious, but he kind
I
of
know
like
that's
makes
David
amends.
Schwimmer.
No.
Unless he was
played,
a shorter term.
the other one that I remember, and the biggest thing that like kind of broke him out was Northern Exposure,
Northern
obviously.
Exposure.
where
Northern
he was-
Exposure.
Yeah, he was
totally.
the DJ.
Which, by the
Um,
way, I cannot find a stream. I tried real hard.
No, you gotta
Really?
buy the DVD on that one.
Yeah.
Oh my God, John Corbett in the Wonder Years.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
He
Does
is a
he's
child
Paul
in that.
Rudd in that he does not age.
No, he
Oh, yes,
looks
he
the
does.
same, but
He looks much older now.
Yeah.
He does. But
Yeah.
I don't care. You can still come for me, John.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
the
Comfort-
one
Gina's
that I
waiting. We
didn't
won't- we
realize
won't
that he was
completely-
in was Tombstone.
No, he
I
was.
do not remember him.
Yeah,
in
he
Tombstone.
plays one of the fucking Barnes kids. So in the shootout at the OK Corral, he's the one that chickens out and runs away.
Oh my God, it's so hot.
He's got a
Yeah.
funny hat.
I'll post these when I do the
Yes, what-
episode thing. We'll add these John
He was
Corbett.
so hot in the Wonder Years.
Oh yeah.
He was so hot in the Wonder
Instagram.
Years. I don't remember this,
Oh
but he's
yeah.
been in my life forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was genius casting, John Corbett, by the way. On
Yeah. No, she wanted, so they had no question. Like he was just the guy.
Yes,
And
always.
it turned out like he had some kind of scheduling conflict and they were like, oh, now we have to start thinking about it. But it was just pure luck. And this is she had an interview only a few years ago where she always wanted him, but Gary Goetzman, who was the co-founder of Playtone with Tom Hanks, they were talking, well, he's not available. We're going to have to like figure it out. So she's there with him and they're kind of taking it. And lo and behold, he walks into the same bar they're at in Toronto.
Mhm.
And they just go, oh, okay. And so for whatever reason, apparently his agent just said, oh, no, they already got that to somebody else. And they just went, no. It's total, yeah, no, it's totally open if you want to, come on
Genius.
board.
So
And he
smart.
was like, oh, yeah, I love it because he really liked the script. And there is a John Corbett, so he works a lot with the same kind of crew, like, Serendipity. There's a lot of crossovers in that. But he did a reunion with Nia Vardalos in I Hate Valentine's Day. Do you remember that one?
Vaguely.
It's not good.
That's probably my recollection.
Yeah, it was written and directed by Nia Vardalos, and it was kind of like counter programming. I think IFC just was like, we can give you like a tiny budget because this one is also one of those like made for less than like $5 million, but hey, she did it once. Let's see if she can do it again. That one fit the more traditional rom-com thing where it's the neighbor and she's just like,
Well, it's not John Corbett's fault that it was bad.
no, it's very similar in the way that What's Your Number?
Yeah.
Where the neighbor is just like this guy who just hangs around and finally she just goes, oh yeah, you're actually pretty cool. But I just remember that and I was just like, okay, there is something with their chemistry.
They're cute together.
Yeah, they're cute together, but for some reason it works in this and it did not work.
I think he's a perfect casting, John Corbett. We can all agree.
Yes.
Except maybe Bryce, but we'll let her off this time on a warning.
Listen, you don't want the competition.
They would not
Come on.
have worked in
Yeah, exactly. Like that's one
I
that's
can't.
one less.
It would have been too
I
dark.
can't imagine anyone else than Nia Vardalos in the lead role. And I know they
Well,
were
yeah.
like trying to like because it's so personal.
Oh, they wanted Sandra Bullock at one point.
They wanted Marissa Tomei at one point.
Bullock,
you know,
you need the personalness of.
But that's also they always want a name. They always want
They always want a name, and I totally get that. But like, it's such a personal story, and I don't think you would have gotten the same hit that you do. This movie hit so hard for me and Alex.
Her husband is in the movie as the best friend.
Her husband's in the movie as the best friend.
Ex-husband now, but
ex-husband.
Oh, did they get divorced?
Yeah.
They after like 20 some odd years.
I didn't know that. That's sad. Poor Javier.
They have. It doesn't seem like they.
No, I think it was just a mutual.
Yeah, it's just a mutual.
But like the moment with her and the grandma and the mom,
that is a beautiful
kind
moment.
Of like looking into the mirror is beautiful. Her with her dad after all the bullshit at the beginning, at the very end where he buys him the house and she kind of like
the house next to him.
I know the house next to him, so they're changing him for the rest of
their
lives.
Controlling. It's just nothing but controlling.
First, it's a starter home, right, guys?
No, it's not, because she's still in that house in the third movie.
Yeah,
it's been 20 years, and she's still in that house.
Yeah, but now she probably has like property in Greece. Trust me, she's okay.
yeah. Well, I did want to also like kind of circle back with that, because there was another film that he was in where he, again, I think he was fine. The film is not.
He's a classic Greek actor.
That is this is the one he did like basically right after this.
Wait, who are we talking about right now?
We're still talking about John Corbett.
Oh
yeah.
Okay.
No. We're talking about John Corbett because I ran through his whole filmography. I'm like, God, I've seen this dude in so many things.
Except all the Christian films, which it's.
No, I've seen God's Not Dead too. Yeah, like I have
God's
like
Not Dead.
Oh yes. Yeah, I have a really weird thing for like Kevin Sorbo movies.
Oh, I know. I'm willing to forgive him.
He actually rejected a lot of like because he dabbled in like evangelicalism. Then he's like, nah, I'm just going back to Catholicism. It's fine. So I think he keeps it mostly to himself. But the one I wanted to think is, so right after he did this, he was in Gary Marshall's Raising Helen.
Oh yes,
and
weird.
He's good, but it's so creepy that like he's a pastor and like, I don't know.
He does he excels at getting cast in roles where he's either absolutely perfect or he's perfect, but there's something wrong.
Yeah.
That's
what, honestly. So I went to the screening of The Wrong Guy, which was the film, another indie film. And one of the producers was talking about that. Is like, all the studios, when you try and pitch to get money from them, they're going to want a name. But if you don't have a name, they'll just give you no money. But they'll still be like, yeah, sure. If you can get it done, we'll come along for the ride. And that was kind of the same thing with The Wrong Guy, because they wanted to cast Jim Carrey, who was like the up and coming star, but they already had Dave Foley because he wrote it. He co-wrote it. And honestly, he's also an amazing performer. So I
love Dave Foley.
Yeah, and I think in this case, it's the same kind of thing, because there's a lot of freedom in independent cinema, especially coming out of the 90s into the 2000s. This is probably the last of that before we move into the fully digital age.
Yeah.
Where an indie film could, for like a couple $1 million.
This was a very word of mouth. How often do you get like word of mouth? I think Barbie.
We got a couple more years. Little Miss Sunshine was after this. Little Miss Sunshine was after this. There were a couple.
Yeah.
Right. But it like even Little Miss Sunshine. Yeah. Little Miss Sunshine still had like
Steve Carell was in that, wasn't he?
Well, you need the hook of Alan Arkin.
We should save the story for Little Miss Sunshine, but I saw it at Sundance, and Steve Carell, it was the moment that he became big.
Yeah, he became
really
big. The big selling point was the fact that they had Alan Arkin. Like that was your big draw. All the studio wants is a name. If you can give them a name, they will be like,
too many people even then that were packing theaters for Alan Arkin.
No, but it's a celebrity that's going to say,
it's a recognized name.
A recognized name that says,
they also had Greg Kinnear, they had Tony Collette. We shouldn't be talking about Little Miss Sunshine. We will do another episode.
But like,
we did good until now.
Yeah. No, it's like, for me, this kind of signaled the end of the 90s era of independent cinema, where you could just have a script and a very fervent idea and have it be like, because everybody really liked the script whenever they was going around. They just wanted to add something to make it what it was, which obviously did not need anything, because she had crafted a lot of this, and she had said in interviews where it's just like, yeah, a lot of times I would just hear these things and they kind of go in the script, and
absolutely.
It's an amalgamation of like her family and her life, and
guys, the whole kind of like Aphrodite's palace, like we have been to
I've been to places like that.
Everybody's been to places like that. They live in New York.
Yeah, exactly. What is it?
Welcome to the Grand Prospect Hall.
Yeah, Grand Prospect Hall, where all your dreams come
all
true.
your dreams come true.
Yeah, what is Astoria World or
Astoria World?
Astoria Manor.
There's one out in Long Island that we've been to many times.
Or for dessert, they have a whole show when they bring out the dessert.
Yes.
And the chocolate fountain always.
And chocolate fountain, and also a drop down stage. We've been to like baptisms or any kind of reception where there's a drop down stage and then an entrance. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, I'm always excited when they're party at the Astoria one, because you know the dresses are going to be so frilly that the girls can't even walk.
Those bridesmaids dresses are mwah.
I just wanted to say that reaction with the camera push in was one of my favorite moments when she just goes, oh, wait for it. And because the earrings are god awful, and she just boom, like trench coat flashes everybody, and everybody's like, yay, and she's like, oh my god, like horrified.
This is my other issue with the film. It's not a huge issue, but this is my other issue. Who would not see themselves in their wedding dress until the morning of the wedding?
That I was like, come on, there's been definitely fittings.
I don't care how much control is going on. If she thought that she looked as bad as she thinks that she looks in it, that would not have happened.
Yeah.
The kind of like, oh, I look like a snow beast was a bit, I mean, you've seen yourself in this dress, but I feel like the whole kind of lead up to that, where it's like all the women,
the
women in the family are at the house, and like,
which is very accurate.
Which is very accurate.
That was like, where it started to get really fun, where it turns into
a big fat Greek wedding.
Well, no,
a Greek American wedding, because like I will say that in Greece, it's totally different.
It's very different. You rent your wedding dress in Greece. You don't
right.
have a wedding dress.
Not a terrible idea.
No.
I mean, you do it with tuxes. Yeah, exactly.
And then like it's only one maid of honor and the
matron,
best man.
Yeah.
And there's no like huge list of bridesmaids. The party is actually just
a few hours later
and just a dinner and dancing. There's no like big to do about everything. It's just like a chill.
There was a lot of dancing.
There was a lot of dancing. It wasn't like here's the chocolate fountain.
No, most people go to the church.
Most people.
Today I learned I had a Greek wedding apparently.
Everybody goes to the church part. Like they all just go to the church.
We had to
the village goes to the church.
We had to fan our cousin because there were so many people in the church,
and they don't have AC.
It was like overwhelming. As we said before, I fainted at my cousin's wedding. I was a bridesmaid, and I was standing next to the bank of candles that were eating up all the oxygen, and I just went down. Had to be like taken out of the church.
Like that part reminded me so much of the final act in 16 Candles, where the sister's getting married and it's chaos in the house, and that's the fun part, is the
straightening
chaos.
Straightening much hair, which for a Greek family takes so much time. We have a lot of hair.
I did like that she owned her curls by the end. She was just like, because that progression from her, and this is a very conscious decision, like by the makeup and wardrobe department, to what she called the frumpy phase or whatever it was.
It is frumpy. I think we can safely say that.
Very frumpy.
Although I just felt very self-conscious every time I watched it, because I was like, that's just me.
But like when she starts doing like the small things, I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna put on a little blush.
Curl your hair.
Yeah, curl the hair. Yeah.
Do the eyebrows.
Although why did they keep putting her in the most unflattering length of skirts in
it was the 2000s.
It was the trousers, Bryce. It was the dark, wide-legged trousers that were just killing me. I was like, what are you doing to your hips? You have birthing hips. You're a Greek woman. You can't those trousers.
You have the proud Greek thighs of a Greek woman.
You got the proud Greek thighs.
Like, Arboutia. They're like,
when we were at the US Open and we were at the practice for Maria Sakkari, Alex was like, who's got the Greek hips? Where is she? Where are the Greek hips?
I mean, it was weird because some of the outfits she chose, I was like, oh, that's great. Like the jackets and the kind of like business
the
outfits.
black dress is adorable.
The black dress is adorable. That red thing, like in that whole sequence where she's acting like she's 14 and making out in the car and then going back home, which I actually really enjoy that sequence because
and it's very true.
It's
to
hilarious.
Life. It's very true to life.
Right. It was just like, but you're 30.
Yeah.
And that was the other thing. They're like, it's an older couple as a rom-com, right? They're not like
right. And he's just kind of like, and I like he finally just goes, you know what? We're just gonna go to my place. Like,
why wouldn't that have been the default?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
why that didn't happen ages ago.
She knows what's waiting at her house. Why wouldn't you just go to his place?
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, we have an overnight pottery class. I did love like the pottery class is the excuse where it's like, oh yeah.
Hello, Mr. Pottery class.
I have to study. I have to study was an excuse a lot of the times. Guys.
Oh really?
I have to study. Yeah.
I mean, he is a teacher, so you know. You can kind of be like, oh, he's my tutor, you know, that kind of thing. Oh,
or you can admit that you're 30 and you can do what the hell you want to.
No, you can't.
Yeah, no, you can't.
The Greek dad, like,
I'm very mad at the Greek dad.
The shame is like real.
Yeah, this is my like this was my suspension of disbelief moment where I'm like, what happens if you say no?
Yeah, well, that's basically what he does. He goes, I'll see you tomorrow, and then just leaves after he goes, you can't date my daughter.
Once you actually figure that out, Bryce, it is like world changing.
Well, there is that fear. There is always that fear when you're dealing with a family like that they just will stop
you off.
Well, what I was concerned about for her, like if we wanted to take a dark turn and like go down dark pathways, is she, in addition to being super controlled by her family, is there like financial abuse here? Does she have her own bank account? Is she getting paid for all this work she's doing for various members of her family? Or is it considered like room, board, taken care of for life, payment enough? Like what?
You're probably right, Bryce.
Yeah.
You're probably right because like
she lived at home at 30.
When she was working at the restaurant, she was probably not getting paid.
Well, but I'm like,
I mean, we didn't get paid when we were.
No, you didn't get paid. I forced Dad to pay me.
Well,
I was the little entrepreneur, and I was like, I'm getting paid $20 an hour, and this was in the 1990s. I was like, I am getting paid this amount to work on the weekends, and then I would save the money, and he would put it in my bank account, and then that money went to my college fund. But I didn't
get paid.
I was saving up that money. I was just like,
yes, the oldest daughter must be perfect, must acquiesce mentality. I feel that.
Yeah.
But did she have to ask for every dollar she spent on that really, really pink blush that she was putting on? Like, that was my dark concern.
I'm gonna say her mom probably snuck her the blush.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's go down this problem path there.
But like, who's paying for the college? That's the thing. Like, because she's asking.
That's my question.
To go to college.
The dad is paying for the college, all out of pocket, all in cash, and there isn't going to be any student loans.
She's not going to have any
community college.
It's also a community college. That's not going to be bad. Yeah.
Which is the same.
So is this the first time she went to college, or is this just like a follow-up? She didn't go to college originally.
No, she didn't go to college.
He didn't want her to go to college.
I mean, it's honestly astounding.
Yeah.
I do not have a single, and we have a lot of Greek family and friends.
Right.
In Greece and here,
and
all of them went to college.
Yeah,
I mean, just across the board, it was
no,
like
that's
our niece is going to college right now in Greece.
That to me is the separation.
Here, like
that and the Windex.
The Windex thing is bizarre. That does not exist.
I did meet a coworker who said that she has a family member that does the Windex and did the Windex before the movie.
The Windex, this is what I've realized. I've realized that the Windex is like shorthand for these little home remedies.
Yeah, exactly.
Dad was Neosporin. For Dad, it was Neosporin.
For Dad, it was Neosporin. Neosporin went on everything.
Dipped his finger into a fryer at the restaurant.
Test the temperature.
It was on. It was on full blast. And it burned his entire finger to the point it was just an entire white hot dog shape. And his response when I said, you need to go to the hospital, he was like, no, I'm just going to put some Neosporin and wrap it up. It'll be fine.
Oh my God.
My dad was a badass. My dad would do things.
I'm just thinking about how much
dad was a badass and a dumbass, because that was a dumbass
and a dumbass.
Yeah. I'm thinking about how much it hurt when I boiled my hand. That's like
it was white.
I also think he had like very low pain tolerance,
nerve receptor.
Yeah. I mean, I've known people that
you mean high pain tolerance.
Yeah, I think he had a high.
I know people that work in kitchens for so long that they basically just, you flip over stuff in hot oil.
You get used to it.
You cover your hand in batter, though. That's the trick, is that it's cooking the batter, not your fingers.
For your finger, yeah.
Oh, no, because I would do this with tempura. You would basically take a little bit of the dough and you'd stick your finger in.
That makes sense.
And as long as you're not like dipping it in and keeping it there, if you just do
we
like a quick
do not recommend that anybody dips
do not mess with hot oil.
Don't do it.
Our dad also like dislocated his fingers and like popped them back in himself.
Yeah, I mean, I shattered a knuckle.
I hate all this.
I know. TMI. That'll probably get.
That does remind me.
Wrap up point anyway.
Yeah, we're getting.
My air conditioning is not on, and it's unplugged.
Speaking of the,
we paused to turn it on. We put ourselves on mute to turn it on so that we could have a reprieve.
Yeah, it's getting to that part.
We are dewy, which is just a Greek word for greasy.
Yeah, there we go. I did like when he was swimming, she grabs his hair and she's like, oh, it's still oily. And I'm like, there you go. Speaking of oily, the last thing I do want to talk about is that cavalcade of 50-year-old men that her dad just like imposed on her.
50-year-old men and one like 30-year-old perv.
Also, unfortunately, not that far off.
Not that far off.
But it was just like, why are they so old?
Randall, because she's 30, so she's no longer an eligible prospect.
And the whole idea of sending somebody to Greece to find a husband, is still a thing that
legitimate.
Happens.
As of a few months ago, we have had somebody say to us, do you know any eligible young Greek women who would want to marry my son in Greece?
Wait, like just randomly?
To bring him over? It happens all the time.
But oh my God, why?
It happens still. It happens still.
That whole speech when he's like, I don't know his family, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like,
do you know any of these
guys? You don't know half these other guys. Yeah.
Losers.
So who cares? It's not your job to know.
Yeah. Oh man. Like the cavalcade date sequence is great because then it's really showing that the brother is the ally there because he's just like, he just keeps like, God.
The brother is a total ally, and he's like such a mensch. Like he's like the greatest brother.
He's a mensch.
You should not be using the word mensch in this episode. That was for the Dirty Dancing episode. What's the Greek word for mensch?
That's a good question.
Oh, no. He's such a palakari.
It's so much harder to say, Dana. So much harder.
Patakari. Close enough.
So I guess in wrapping this up, it's like it was nice to kind of revisit it. It is very sweet. I get why it was so successful because it is such low stakes. And
John Corbett.
And John Corbett. Bryce, actually, this is what I was trying to remember. You know, the last time you saw John Corbett and you were like, oh yeah, 47 meters down, uncaged. Remember that one? The shark movie where they're underwater.
Oh yeah.
He was in a shark movie.
Yeah,
a sequel to a shark movie.
Right, horses, sharks. He's perfect.
Yeah.
I now understand why John Corbett is constantly telling Nia Vardalos, "Can you make a sequel?" So I now get.
I mean, she waited so long to do the sequel.
He was like pushing for the
second biggest thing he ever did,
and then for the trilogy, he was like, just write it and I'll be in it. He's always like
because he part of too, but also like this is the year we're bringing John Corbett back. Sex and the City, Big Fat Greek Wedding 3. It is John Corbett sequel. It is John Corbett 2.0. I am here for it.
Love it. Bring it. We are here for it. We will send you pictures of us.
John Corbett and my Steve Buscemi.
Don't bring that coat. Yeah. Don't bring that coat.
I don't know what this coat is.
Oh my God.
I don't need to know.
You haven't watched any of them just like that.
There is a coat in the first episode that John Corbett returned.
How bad can a coat be?
It's real bad. There is not been a single review of this episode.
Looking it up.
No. Yes, bring it up. Just right. John Corbett.
It looks like a rejected Matrix. Like
it's horrible.
It looks like straight out of like 1999. It's awful.
It's terrible.
No.
Is it at the premiere?
No. It's in the episode.
It's so hot in my apartment, y'all.
Okay, all right.
We're watching Alex and Helen
This is it.
a coat.
This is it.
I will stick around for like
That's a $600 coat. Sorry, Bryce. Let's go. We'll wrap it up.
All right.
We can either talk about something real or we can.
That was real.
No.
But I cannot sit here in my hottest.
We're wrapping it up.
John Corbett is real, man. He's real. He's real and he's there for me.
It's true. He is there for all of us.
I love it. That was straight up.
That's the way to end right there.
That was almost straight up the Britney Spears, like,
leave John Corbett alone.
That's the ender, Randall. That's how we.
I'm making myself cry.
You made your microphone cut out, Dana.
She's now crying.
John Corbett is the one who finally got me to short out my microphone.
That's beautiful.
It only took like.
Worth it. He's worth it.
Give it to me, I'm worth it. Know what I mean?